Greetings, everyone, and welcome to 5 Play Friday. Live, coming to you live. We are super excited to be back looking at plays. It's how we get the number one way to get better as basketball officials. Greetings, everybody. My name is Greg Austin with thebetterofficial.com. We craft video to help basketball officials get better. Analyzing game video is critical to our success and our development as basketball officials. Super excited you're joining me here today. Sorry for the delay. Technical difficulties. Gremlins still working against us. We're getting better at this process. Super excited to get this show out and happening today. Just want to run through a few points, orders of business. Our live schedule now will be every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Basketball Rules Expert. Every Friday, 5 Play Friday, also 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Every week, let's look at plays. Super excited to get started with that. If you have plays you'd like to submit, you'd like us to look at, go ahead and submit them to abetterofficial.com/submit plays. abetterofficial.com/submit plays. And we can take a look at those. Today, if you have a question in the chat, preface it with a Q. Easier for me to find. I can answer any question that comes up. If you're new to the live stream, you're new to the channel, put new in the comments. Also, let me know where in the country you are officiating. That'd be fantastic. I'd be pleased to meet you. And if you have a comment about a particular play, that's illegal, that's a travel, that's a block, that's a charge, what have you, drop your opinion in the chat. Preface it, though, with the play number, P1, P2, P3, etc. Each play will be numbered. All right, fantastic. Due to the late start, we are just going to jump in and get going. So let's look at plays. Let's go back. Let's go here. Due to the late start, we're just going to jump in and get going. Let's look at plays. All right, block charge play, pretty straightforward, but it's the extracurricular activity afterward that is what we're going to concentrate on today. So if you have something different, if you have a block on this play, let me know. If you have a charge, let me know as well. The charge was ruled, okay, and we can look at the positioning of the lead official. The key component, though, is to not run away from the scene. You have to evaluate what happens after the foul. In this instance, right, we got a player ruled a charge against them. They get up. They are frustrated, right? If we take a look right here, and they immediately go to this, I'm playing defense on this dude posture, right? This had been sort of a characteristic of this player during the game, right? We have dead ball situation. They are leaning on the point guard from the other team, acting out, as it were, right? We have to see this action, right? We note the officials are switching, as you would in National Federation of High School Mechanics. The new trail for the subsequent play is actually in pursuit of the ball and not observing the players here. But we have to build into the habits, obviously, of at the spot of the foul, we have to stay with the players. We can't race away and be in a hurry. There's no rush to get to the table here. And once we detect that there is any sort of energy between opponents, we have to be there for that. Okay? In this situation, it ameliorates, it relaxes, it resolves. Okay? This is all well and good. You know, the push, the slight brush away by the player, the opponent here doesn't rise to the level of anything. This interaction doesn't rise to the level of anything. But the key is it could rise to the level of something, and we have to observe this activity. So if we go back, we look at positioning of the lead. Are you going to button hook in this situation? Are you going to pull up to get the look, or are you going to get to the end line? That's a decision we have to make, right? Like right here, if new lead stops, maybe they have a look here. This defensive player comes sliding by and would have obscured the view anyway. That's a decision we have to make. Charge is the ruling, designate the spot, move to report, but not without awareness of the players. We could stay stationary, observe players, and then move quickly to the reporting area, National Federation of High School Mechanics. But we have to see that interaction between the players and make our judgments about that. A little outside the reporting area, but clear view to the table, switch, ready to go. And also subsequent action, right? Notice where our new lead ends up. This is important as well. Don't run away from the play. There's no reason, mercy. There's no reason to head down the court here. Where are the players? We're going to have a press situation in the back court, right? We need to be aware of where we want to be next at all times. So when we leave the spot to report, we're going to go report and we know where we're going to be next. That way we can project strength and confidence on the court. Let's take a look. Jason Hayes says, punch it. I agree, obviously. Great call, Jason. If you want to look at the play and say, wait a minute, that defender was legal, not legal. If you have another opinion, let me know in the chat. Fantastic. All right, we're moving on to our next play. Let's move on to play number 2. All right, play at lead, multiple defenders in the lead's primary. Could be a real challenge in a situation where we're determining who's officiating what, right? If we take a look at the play, when the ball is caught, right here, official in excellent position. Outside shoulder, mirroring the ball, open look on the play. Player drives, gets past the defender, and now we have to pick up a secondary defender under the basket. So we have to officiate whether the primary defender fouls, so it does something illegal from the backside as well as the front side. Critical in this situation is we have to shift our focus. We have to have a primary focus on the play, right? You need to pick up that secondary defender. That 9 times out of 10, that's going to be where the action comes from. Now, in a two-person game, the official's pretty much on an island here. Trail can't do too much. We'll talk about the trail in a minute. But what we have on this play is the player from behind blocks the ball cleanly up top. You could say there is marginal body contact. It's not the body contact which causes White to go to the floor. I think White was just felt the pressure of multiple players around them and chose to bail to the floor. I don't feel they were knocked on the floor. That was my ruling on the play. And off we go. In general, the position pretty good. You know, in watching the video, if the lead official stepped back further off the end line, maybe a little more perspective on the play. Super challenging to officiate two players, one in the front, one in the back. But that's what we have on this play. We have to do the best that we can. If we were the trail on this play, where would we want to be in a perfect world to help officiate this play? In a two-person game, where do we want to be? We want to have the angle that the camera has, right? When the ball goes from here at the top, at maybe the 28 or 38 foot line approximately, and goes to the wing, we want to step down because we're anticipating potentially a shot, etc. We want to be in a flatter position so that we can see between players. That would be our default move, and we would want to end up having the same view as the camera angle so that we could help, if needed, on the secondary defender if they went obviously from A to B, or if we saw obvious foul from the player from behind, we'd have the look on the play. There's nothing else going on competitive, potentially rebounding action here subsequently. But we want to be in a better position as trail here so that we could possibly help. Let's see what Jason has to say. When you have multiple secondary defenders in a two-person game, which one do you pick up? I think you have to shift your focus. Once that player is beat, you have to shift your focus to that secondary defender because that's where we anticipate the trouble is going to arise. Like I say, a high percentage of the time, that's going to be the issue, that secondary defender. If we have to open our view, and again, I wish, move back helps with that. If we step back, we need to open our view and be aware of an obvious foul from behind. But we are on an island. We have to do the best that we can. One of the issues that many officials face is the inability to transfer their vision quickly to anticipate the secondary defender, and they get surprised by that. So you have to make a judgment about the primary action. In this instance, the player pretty much got past, and we can move our attention to the front side of the play. But a great question, and it's challenging. You're going to have to look at play scenarios on their merits. Each play is going to be a little bit different, but we have to be able to pick up that secondary defender in the two-person game. All right. So takeaways on this play, we have to get better position as a trail, anticipating a play to the basket like this. As lead, potentially step back to get better perspective on the play. But in the end, right, if we look at this play, there's potentially marginal contact by the player who blocks the ball after they block the shot. On its merits, what's obvious about this play? What's obvious, right? Let's go back and look at that secondary defender, first of all. What's obvious? They are legal. They established their position, jumped straight up. What's obvious about the play? That shot was blocked. We got a block, clean, up top, everything straightforward. We like to say, Grandma, she's in the 14th row. Grandma can't see so well. Grandma can't hear so well. Grandma's there. She says, well, that guy got his shot blocked. That's an obvious block, right? We don't have to fight and find some marginal thing about the play to rule otherwise. All right. Okay, fantastic. Let's move on to play number 3. All right. So interesting play in that there are things that could be ruled and yet there is no call. Lead official working for an angle, makes the decision, I'm not going to race to the end line. I'm not going to race to the end line and try to beat the play here. I'm going to try to find an angle on the way. And that's fine. We have to make a decision about how we can get a look at this play. If we note at the very beginning here, our trail is not helping on this play, right? Just settled here, got a good 45 feet between the ball. So the trail was no help here unless something super non-basketball obvious play. Is this a charge? Is this a block? Is this a travel? These are the decisions that we need to make. We have displacement. So first of all, is our defender legal? Let's take a look. Could say a secondary defender. All defenders are secondary. 2 feet on the floor, facing the opponent, absorbs the initial contact, seems to almost make a decision to move back as well, to yield, to not, embellish or flop or exaggerate the displacement on the play, but strips the ball. Also notice our ball handler with throwing the head back, right? Trying to fool the ref, draw a foul, right? These are all the things we have to evaluate. Wesley Bates in the house, LGP. LGP, you got that right. Great legal guarding position. So in the end on this play, does this play need a call, right? We have to make that decision, what kind of game we've had, etc. I'd say prior to the displacement, the ball is actually out. We're good to go. Don't need a whistle on this play. Obviously, we didn't have one in this game. Again, is our basic fundamental perspective, I want to find whistles in a game, or do I want to find the game and then put whistles in as necessary? That's one of our decisions we have to make as basketball officials. It's always going to be based on the situation in the game, etc., the temperature of the game. These are all variables. All right. Mantaka, great no call in your opinion, because part of a factor is the offensive player tried to sell the contact. Indeed, they did. Indeed, they did. But if we're evaluating the defender, that player's legal, we are good to go. All right. Great to see everybody jumping in on the chat. Mike, I agree the lead was straight lined, but, and in the end, we have a closed look. Given our circumstances right here, we could hustle a little bit more. In the end, the look would close. Yeah, if we got a little more, we could have a better look. But in the end, it closes up. We would look for that late arriving trail. If there's any like rake across the arm that leads to the ball coming loose, the trail would be our only hope on that. It's a transition play. In the Wild West of two-person officiating, we've got to do the best that we can. That's the look we had, and I think we end up with the correct call. All right. How's our video quality? One of the things with this show that I want to do is, unlike live Zoom calls, etc., the video gets processed down, it gets chunky, etc. I want to have a show where we have great video quality, that it's clean, smooth, and effective. So give me a shout and let me know if that is happening. The internets are my friend. G-Man in the house says it's good, and I say that's good. Much appreciated. All right. Okay, we're moving on. Play number 4. All right. Something happened on this play. Something, it sure was funny looking. Sure was funny looking. So we have a last second situation. If we get Greg out of the way here, clock's winding down. End of the first half, state final. Dribbler loses control of the basketball, regains control of the basketball, and shoots. There's a defender involved, but the try misses anyway. So if we had no call on this play, we would end up with the same result. We haven't affected the outcome of the game with this call. In this situation, we're right in front of the visitor bench. What do we expect the dynamic from that bench to be? Maybe the student section behind the bench, or the fans behind the bench as well. Everybody is doing this. They're throwing their hands up because something funny happened. That looks really funny. It really does. Everybody knows that's a travel. That's got to be something. A double dribble, is that? No. This is a legal play. Players are allowed, when they lose control of the ball, to regain control of the ball. Always. Always. Player goes up to release a try. The ball slips out of their hands. Even if they've had a dribble, not had a dribble, they can go get the ball. And we can't release the ball on a jump to and release the ball with a pivot foot off the floor. But if a player loses control of the basketball, National Federation of High School rules, they can always regain it. So our official gets caught up in the something funny happened, better put a whistle on it scenario. Takeaway on the play: we don't have to have a quick whistle in this situation. Evaluate the play for actual legality, illegality, and go from there. Ref was emotional on that call. I didn't think so. I thought it was very polished. Let's look at the demeanor of the calling official. No, no. Yeah, we can only see a peek. Oh, that was good. Yes, it is a first half call, end of the first half. It appears, unless it was a super high score. Yeah, end of the first half. Legal. Legal. All right. I'm going to scroll. Trevor Hill in the house. Trevor, how you doing? I look forward to our next game together. That is fantastic. And Taka, player lost control of the ball. The defensive contact was legal, right? The defender was in a legal guarding position, yielded. It's just nothing there. Awesome. I got nothing. Shy day, or is that Chicago day? Legal. Call correct. All right, let's move on. Next play. All right. Video quality on this play, not great just because of the actual video quality of the clip. So we have a jump ball situation. Ball becomes loose. Two players tie up, and we are going to re-jump. Couple of things. We are, I think, in Minnesota on this one where they play 18-minute halves as opposed to quarters. So that's the situation. But this is a high school game. I don't know if these are collegiate officials. The ruling on the play is re-jump because the ball was tied up. So we had the officials are making a judgment in this case that there was no initial control by either team that would set the possession arrow and lead to, if we had a held ball subsequently, right? They're making the judgment that we are going to re-jump this. If we watch the head coach here, the head coach knows the rule. And he gives the officials a chance to fix it. So the correct ruling on this play, what do we have? Who is going to re-jump this ball? We have a tie-up between blue 13 and white 5. Those should be the players that reattempt or that do the jump ball. The clock should have run properly, as it did. 7 seconds came off. That's all good. We're not going to reset the clock. We have played basketball. So it should be 5 and 13. Now the head coach thinks, well, wait a minute, I got a big guy against their little guy. That's my matchup. But we re-jump between the original jumpers. So at other levels, anybody could handle the jump ball. I don't know about NCAA men's. I know NCAA women's, and I would certainly assume. I don't know the answer to that. But our original jumpers are jumping, and that is incorrect. Head coach could be saying, "Hey, White had the ball, and then we tied them up. It should be our ball," or, "Hey, this jump was between those two players, and I had the advantage there." Right? And if we see the result of the rejump, of course, White gets the ball. Now, it's the beginning of the game. This is obviously nobody's going to remember this when the game's close in the fourth period. But it does bring up a few issues. Number one is, are we really ready to officiate the game at the opening jump? That's a question I always ask because obviously I've experienced it myself. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Ooh, boy, I'm ready. First play happens. Oh my gosh, I wasn't there. I didn't, I got confused, whatever. Life happens, comes at you fast. So that's the first question. Are you really ready to officiate? And the second is what is your approach in this situation? Right? We're getting clues that we may be doing something wrong, right? We're getting information from the coach. Coach may be right, may be wrong, but we're getting information. We have the opportunity to just slow down, right? We could slow down and say, "Hey, partner, do we have the correct jumpers on this one?" Something to help slow the crew down so that even if I'm not sure, right? The coach is saying hey, not White 5 should be jumping. And we're like taking that information in. We're not quite sure. What's the rush? What's the rush? Hey, partner, do we have the right jumpers? Right? We could do that. We could just slow things down and give us a chance to say, "Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah. Oh yeah." I mean, if we make a mistake about in this situation, we make this mistake as a crew. Anybody in the crew could come in and say, "These are the jumpers. We got 5 and 13 or whatever it was." Anybody on the crew can do that. Okay. So my takeaways on this play are, number one, are we really ready to officiate? And number two, something unusual happens. Let's slow down. Slow down and communicate. What's the downside? Slow down and communicate. All right. Cool. Let's look at what's going on in the chat. Traver didn't realize the jump must be between the two players involved in the tie-up. Well, we've learned something today. That's fantastic. Yes, the subsequent jump is between the two players who were tied up. There is a rules reference on this play. I do not know what it is. Umar, rejump should be between black 13 and white 5. That is correct. JW, jump with the initial jumpers. I don't know if that's a suggestion that that's the proper ruling or that is what we did. 15 and 22, I think, were our original jumpers. Traver, correct. Umar says, not a good toss. Which one? Let's take a look. Well, that's a great toss. That first toss is golden. Let's see our second toss. A little flat. Hey, it's hard to be 2 for 2. Hey, let's take a look at our table side official here when they're interacting with the coach. You see how their discussion with the coach, their brain is whirring, trying to process what the coach has to say. You know, they're obviously distracted. And now we're engaging with the coach. Right? So just takeaways we could see from others. I thought that first toss was golden, Umar, and the second toss was flat. But in both cases, we got the game going. Oh, Mike Goodwin, rules reference 646.4.1, situation C. I could bring that up, but I'm not going to. That's going to be in the future. I'm going to have rules, books, and case plays available and able to insert in this initial episode of 5 Play Friday Live. We're working on being successful. Anybody have a foul here on white 25? How about that? Let's take a look. There's contact, little tug, blue or black goes down, right? I don't see a pull down. I see some contact. I see blue 13 lean back in pursuit of the ball. I don't think that rises to the level of a foul, but something to be aware of. All right. Fantastic. Great feedback, everybody, on that play. So excited to have engagement on the chat. And now let's move on to our very next play. All right, it's a little palate cleanser at the end. This is a bonus play. It's not play number 3. My graphic was wrong. But we have a super exciting situation. What do we have? Black, visitor, down by 2. Final seconds. What do we got? 3.4 seconds when the try is released. It goes in. White, length of the court heave. Ball goes in the basket. Exciting finish. Love to have a finish like this in our game. Always, always. There's something about this play that I think is a super important, besides the fun of it, right? We love these scenarios in our games. We love that black made the play to score. We love that white made the incredible shot and that the fans went wild and we had a perfect natural conclusion to our game. We're not in the game here, right? But there's something that happens on this play that is super critical for basketball officials so that when they get into their end of game situations, they are dotting I's, crossing T's, and getting things right. So let's watch our center official on when the goal is scored here. Boom. Immediately looks at the white coach. Do you want a timeout? We have no time to waste. If you want the timeout, we have got to get it now. We've got to have a look potentially down the court at the clock when they request, right? We have to have that. We have to have that number. But that head turn, boom, fantastic, fantastic, right? That is the habit that you want in that situation, right? We'd expect maybe the trail to open up and do that. But the center doing that, he sees immediately that they do not want a timeout. That's something we absolutely want to add into our arsenal so that when this situation happens, if that coach was there, timeout, 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 and we miss it, then we don't have that natural conclusion to the game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's say the shot misses or whatever. So always be hyper aware of timeout requests in these late game situations and the number on the clock so that we can get the timing right. Also, so our trail on this play, right? Trailing the play, our only real question here, assuming this shot would have missed, let's say, is whether or not there was contact here, any illegal contact. Who's going to have that look? The center official. Well, let me break out my little arrow here. The center official has to have a look on this play. This is where the game is, right here. It's all right here. I would not be surprised. Let's see what our new lead does on this play. Kind of runs away from the game a little bit. There's defenders down there, but that's not where the game is. Could have lingered near the division line to have an opinion about the last second shot. Could have looked at the coach, etc. Lou Lofton, clock didn't stop when Blue scored. This is National Federation of High School Basketball rules. The clock does not stop in the final 59-9 in National Federation of High School rules. Clock ran properly. Umar, this is same thing. This is, the clock should not have stopped. Mantaka was great look at benches by the sea. That is absolutely correct. Try leaves before the clock expires. That is absolutely correct. Fantastic. I'm having a great time. Okay. Just give me just a moment. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. My pacing on the show has been pretty good. So frustrated before the show started about the fact that the internet connection was poor. We were supposed to go off at 7. There was no connection. And then a little bit after 8, it cleared up. So I got a tech coming, and we're going to resolve that because we want to be on time, like we want to be as officials, so that we can rely on the content. I was really impressed by the contribution in the chat by the live crew. If you are watching on replay and you have comments, put them in the chat, and we will reply to as many as we can. And we will check that out. Fantastic. I think I've shown a pretty good command of the software. Not a lot of hiccups here. I'm feeling good about myself. Okay. Trevor, much appreciated for the feedback. Much appreciated for everybody participating in the chat today. I am going to wrap it up. This doesn't have to be a forever discussion. I want to be consistent here, producing weekly content so we can look at plays and extract. We're just going to take from them what we can. Positioning of the officials, demeanor, call correct, rules reference, all the things, right? That's how we get better as basketball officials looking at plays. So if anybody picked up something along the way, that is fantastic. And again, I am much appreciative of everybody's participation in the chat. Hopefully we can create a great community here in future episodes of 5 Play Friday live. All right. And with that, I am going to wrap it up. Thank you, Mantaka. All right. Don't be afraid to throw your name in the chat as well in future episodes. But I'm going to wrap it up today. Appreciate everybody joining us for 5 Play Friday Live. Look forward to seeing you next Friday at 7 a.m. And I'm going to say peace out.